Welcome back. You're watching Storyboard. When I recently met David Shing, aka Shingy, who's the global digital prophet at Oath, my first question to him, in fact, was what does he really do as a prophet? In this interesting chat with Shingy that happened on the sidelines of the recently held AdTech in Delhi, he also spoke to us about why digital really requires a prophet and what are those jargons pertaining to this medium that he really hates. Let's take a look at this conversation. David Shing or Shingy, welcome to Storyboard.
Thanks for having me.
You call yourself digital prophet.
Right.
What is with the designation? What is with the title?
Okay, so the title really comes from wanting to be able to contextualize trends and ideas for brands, agencies, and the market. Somebody wanted to call me an evangelist. I said there's too many of those. I'll call myself a prophet.
Okay, tell us, why does digital industry need a prophet?
That's a great question. It needs contextualization. It needs some type of alignment with behaviors and platforms and how people engage, and it needs to be clear and inspiring because it's so confusing. So really what I do is look to trends and try to help people navigate the waters. That's why digital needs it. It's unlike changing the channel on a television show.
So what exactly is your job as a digital prophet?
It's really to inspire people to do better, to engage with people in ways that are unique to their brand and also understanding what people are doing in terms of the behaviors. Like, for example, here in India, you guys under-index in terms of mobile penetration. You're like 57% of the population. 1.3 billion people, that's a big market. Most countries I go to, they oversaturated in mobile connections, but you guys are currently still an undercated market, which is a unique opportunity. I also found that you have 2 SIM cards in your phones, or you carry 2 phones, one for data, one for voice. But there was something like a 9 times growth in video consumption. So as your data rate came down, the engagement in video went up. So people are freaky cool for that device. So what could happen? What could you do that make it even more engaging for brands, particularly for the mobile device? Because it seems like desktop isn't a big issue for you.
But video is not just an India trend. It's overall that the video is growing globally as well. So what can brands really do?
Well, there's a couple of things. They shouldn't do 30-second TV commercials and then throw them across the digital channels and expect them to perform equally as well. I think that's rubbish. They really need to contextualize the type of video engagement on the platforms where their brands engage most, in the format and the currency of the culture that people want to engage in. And there's a secret ingredient that people have to build into their video over and above anything that's passive, like television, and that's surprise. Because the one thing that brands really want their content to do in digital is become contagious. The only way that can happen is if it's shared. The only way that can happen is they build hooks into it that makes it highly shareable. So I call it a head tilt. It's like, oh, I wasn't expecting that, but that's super cool. I want to be able to share that with as many people as I possibly can, as fast as I can.
Okay. I'm going to quote something from your own blog. You said attention will become the new currency in one of your blogs. Can you elaborate on this?
Yeah, so, you're looking at your phone right now. How many times do you think you unlock your phone per day?
I can't put a number to that.
Yeah, on the average Apple phone, people unlock their phone 80 times a day. That probably means you interact with it a couple of 100 times a day.
Yes.
So no matter what comes at us, so in the digital industry, we want to say, because we can measure everything, let's measure everything. Well, I don't think that's true, right? Click-through rate, cost per acquisition, which means attribution, all of those things are very confusing. At the end of the day, you have 24 hours in the day. How you assign your attention to brands that do a great job of captivating you, particularly the device in your hand, that is attention. And how you measure that is appropriated to, if you meet me where I need to be met and you give me something that meets my need, that is radically different than any type of marketing we've done in the past, and that's a massive opportunity, I think, particularly around mobile.
Okay. We hear a lot of jargons when it comes to digital. There are new jargons thrown in at us every year. And, over the past few years, I have seen since digital has grown, every year is the jargon of the year. And, all the stories, all the media conferences around the globe are around that particular jargon. What, according to you, is the most overused jargon of late, and why it shouldn't be given as much attention as it currently deserves?
All right, so I'll give you three, and I'm the buzzword king. So let me contextualize it. Millennials should never be used again. They're humans, imagine that. And they just happen to be young humans that have particular behaviors. So that's one thing. Let's not call them that. And I hate being called that anyway, so stop calling them that. The second thing is disruption. I hear it everywhere I go. Disrupt, 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 disrupt. The point is really simple, which is if you're number one in your category, you don't think you can be disrupted, too late, because you're being disrupted. So disruption happens not using technology, but you need to disrupt your business model. And technology may be a helper to do that. So transformation of the business needs to happen. And I would say that the last one that we kind of need to stop using is innovation. Innovation is change. Change is iterative. With all of the confusion that can happen across these digital platforms, we need to invent. Why? Because there are new ways to engage people in ways that they never expected in the past. So that's where I think invention over innovation, and don't use them in the same sentence because they're very, very, very different. One is about change, the other one is about create, and invention is about creation.
What about storytelling? You know, because we have been hearing stories since time immemorial, since probably when we were children, or, you know, when our grandmothers or grandfathers used to tell us stories.
I mean, you're right, storytelling is the most overused word, but it's also the most abused word. For me, it's still very important, but don't use the word storytelling. Remove the telling. It's less about the telling, it's more about the story. And that's the beautiful thing about the digital platforms, is you can tell beautiful, emotional, long, dedicated stories that tap people's hearts, as opposed to 30-second TV spots, which I think is more about trying to tell a story as quickly as possible. So again, it's less about the telling, more about the story.
Okay, so where does the future lie? Is it mobile? Is it wearables? What is it?
I think it's a combination of all of those things. At the end of the day, mobile is a thing that's already here, and wearables is something that is coming. So if you think about it, for me, the desktops replace the television, the tablets replace the laptop, the phones replace the tablet, the wearable hopefully will replace the phone, which means you're going to have to think about it radically different. We went from cinema screen to TV to mobile phone. All of the way that you engage with people has been consistently the same. But when you go to something that's square, rectangular, circular, triangular, the way you target people with the content you target them, it has to be radically different. That means this industry is going to be ripe for disruption. There's that buzzword again.
So what trend do you spot in the coming days?
Look, I'll take a different position on that and just say that I think that people are going to think about their relationships in digital with brands and the platforms they engage with differently, because we've gone from a trusted environment where I understand and curated the experience that I had to a place that is overwhelming, which means it then becomes underwhelming because I can't find what I'm looking for because we're anxious about the sort of information we're receiving. So I think there's going to be kind of a backlash against the way that we think about the popular platforms today, and we're going to audit that and maybe shrink our platforms slightly and the way that we engage with people. So less is going to be more. So
how do we do that though?
Do a stock take of all the platforms you're on and understand, are those platforms really the best place for your brand to be? Because as a person, are you really on those platforms and are you engaging those ways? And so I think that's kind of where we need to understand. It's not about popularity. I think it's about depth of engagement.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for speaking to us.
Thanks for having me.
With that, it's a wrap on Storyboard this week. You can catch all of our content on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back same time next week. See you soon.